All right, y'all, let's get this thing rocking here. And happy Monday to everybody. And as we kind of progress through this week, I'm going to change up the format a little bit. I know usually I kind of give my own 2 cents on what we have going on Monday through Thursday. Then I have somebody on for a Friday discussion at the end of the week to kind of culminate this thing. But wanted to switch it up a little bit this week because of all the time we now have in our hands, if you will. Everybody kind of chilling out a little bit more. So I wanted to get more people on the show, not just get my mean mug and my mouth talking, but get some other people on here too and get their angles on some things. So I had to set it off right. I had to start it off in the right way. So I couldn't have thought of anybody better than my boy, Mr. Tres Barksdale, to join us today. I'm not going to call it a Friday discussion because it's not Friday. It's not a discussion. It's more so just an organic, free-flowing conversation today. But I'm, again, going to try this new format. And with that being said, I want to welcome my brother, Mr. Tres Barksdale, to the conversation today. So, Trey, thank you for the time, man. I'm really excited to chop it up, hear some things from you, and welcome to the show, dog.
Hey, thank you, brother. I'm excited. I'm excited for this.
Absolutely. And I had Trey on probably, man, I don't even know how long ago it was, but my man has not stopped studying since, I can tell you that. So he has blessed us with a few minutes of his time. So when I say I greatly appreciate his time, I very much mean it, because that boy can go when it comes to doing what he's got to do. So try to set it off. Again, I know with these Friday discussions, I normally kind of have this whole kind of thing planned out. But throughout this week, I'm going to have 5 questions I'm going to ask all my guests. I'm going to ask them the same exact questions. I'm going to have a wide variety of people on, if you will. So I'm going to go through these questions. We're going to knock them out. If some topics kind of fly off the top of the dome a little bit as we're going, we can go there with it. But again, want to kind of stick to this script and see what we can find with this new format for this week, dude. So first one, let's set it off with a bang. Let's set it off with some substance. And that first question that I got for you, dude, is when you're thinking about your entire life and everything that's kind of transpired, everything that you've gone through, experienced, seen, and everything kind of in between, what would you say has been kind of the most formative time or times or events in your life thus far?
So I think we talked a little bit about this last time we were on,
for sure.
A little bit about this. And I think it's been the last 6 months has been interesting because I think at that time I was talking about like my transition into college and really learning how to adapt to being a walk-on and those things.
Mm-hmm.
But I can tell you probably the most recently formative time for me has been maybe this last 6-7 months.
Okay.
I think it's been an interesting time for me because I think I'm moving now, progressing, finishing my second year of medical school. Kind of going through the trials and tribulations that come with that year where it's a little bit more work, or not a little bit more work, it's a lot more work.
Okay, yeah, don't sell yourself short now. That's some work, boy. Yeah.
And so you have that, and you have kind of the other aspects of life, trying to juggle everything and kind of figure out where you fit into where work and the things that come with that and with school also play into life, and trying to balance those two things. And I think for me, it's been maybe this last 7 months, I've had a kind of had a tough time for a little while, just trying to figure out where I was and what I was doing. But I think now there's been a lot of kind of introspection lately that has kind of got me to realize that, like, yes, this last 7 months has been a grind, 8 months has been hard. But I think I'm coming out on the back end a far better person than I came in the sense of understanding what I want and what I see going forward.
Yep. No, I completely get it. Now, when it comes to balancing these different things, school, life, family, everything in between, right? Is there a certain way you try to structure that stuff out? So, for example, I tried this out for a little bit. It wasn't necessarily great for me because I'm kind of sporadic. I want to do this, I want to do that, and it kind of just happens on a whim. But, you know, obviously I know studying takes up a lot of your time. So when you break down your days or your weeks or whatever, do you look at it as like, okay, 70% of my waking hours I'm devoted to studying, 20% to your family, 10% to leisure? You kind of go about it like that? Do you map out your weeks or your days accordingly in other capacities? Like, how do you kind of go about that with, again, everything that's going on? You got a lot going on. It's not like you can kind of spare time here or there. How do you go about being as efficient as possible with your time with that stuff?
So I would say I'm not great at it. So, and I think that's the thing, getting to what I've realized is trying to be better at doing that. And I think is I don't want to overscript my life. I'm not someone, I'm very still I go with the flow. However the day's going, I'm going. But I think I do need to, it's important to be deliberate about the things that are important to you and make sure you put consistent time into all those. Because I think like anything is, it is, and then maybe you talked about it a while back too, is there's a good thing about being specialized, but there's also a key thing of knowing to be very kind of have your hands in a lot of things while you're in your developmental stages. And I think
Yeah.
a lot of things or some things I've come to note is that I'm in a path that is a long road, and that
Yeah.
is going to have a lot of trials and tribulations that come with it.
Yeah.
But also I need to find time to keep those other things that are important to me, and develop those as well. Because if I don't put time into whether it is family, whether it is keeping my mental health, relationships, and things of that nature, then it's just gonna those won't develop the way I want them to. So I don't want to. I've tried to now realize to be focused on not only my grind and where I want to get to, but also the things that are truly important to me. Not because like not everything is important, but those things that I kind of hold in my highly in my life.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And it was that kind of like somewhere you sat down and maybe you're going, then all of a sudden you realize like I'm not prioritizing things correctly or whatnot. So did you sit down and say, okay, number one is family, two is school, three is whatever, and you kind of went about it like so? Like, was it an epiphany? Was it kind of an aha moment? Like, how did you go about identifying that stuff? Because I know that's something I preach too, where it's like your foundation has to be so strong that when stuff's going good, bad, happy, sad, you're always going to be the same cat. You always know what you stand on. And I think it's easy to say that, but in terms of a process or a structure and going
Yeah.
about how to establish that or identify those things, I think I could be a little bit better at helping people kind of understand how to go about that. So from your angle, how do you kind of go about establishing and identifying that stuff?
I think for me, it wasn't like I don't want to say it was an epiphany. Like one day I was just like, boom. But
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
for me, like the key things I always hold true are like my family's going to be like family, faith, and kind of and then friends come into that, and all those other things kind of fall into those places.
okay.
I've always held those very, very highly. Because the people I'm around, I think you are who you surround yourself with. So like my
Mm-hmm.
friends, my family, I
Mm-hmm.
see those as very important things. But I don't want to sound so that's always been foundational and consistent. But I think I don't want to say an epiphany moment, something like that. But I
Yeah.
think going into this board study really was kind of a moment for me. And it kind of worked out weirdly because you had this whole quarantine come down. It's kind of funny because I laughed at everyone saying like, oh, it's
And your
quarantine.
boards are in May, right? Let's just give
My
some
boards are in May.
boards
Yeah,
are in May.
18th.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Yep.
and it's kind of funny because everyone's like, "Oh, quarantine." I was already preparing for this to be a quarantine for me. Like I was already going to be in this room like this
Yeah.
every day. So it's
Yeah.
not really changing, but I think it's the realization that that life can change that quick,
Yeah.
and kind of watching it. I've spent the last 2 years preparing for this time to study, and like, okay, I need to do well. I need to do well. I need to do this to get where I want to. But like now I'm here, and you just realize that it doesn't change.
Yeah.
Like
I
it's
feel you. Yeah.
the world doesn't stop, and things, and it's yes, this is extremely important to me, but also other things are important to me as well. And so making sure that I put the necessary time into those things as well, and it's just prioritizing, I think.
Yeah.
So I've tried to now be very consistent of like going forward. I think realizing where's that list of things that is important to me,
Yeah.
and just my brother even said it to me. We go on like morning runs and chop it up a little bit,
Yeah.
and it's just even putting those things that are like having a list of whether it's 3 to 5 things or just like truly important to you,
Hmm.
and just having whether it's in your pocket and you look whether it can be people's feedback, like who matters to you or what matters to you. So whether it's hearing like critics or people giving you advice, it's like yes, that's like having a understanding of what really matters,
Oh.
and not getting too consumed with any one thing.
Yep. Yep. I love it. I love it. I love talking to you too, because of course my mind goes in a million different directions and I ask one question, then it turns into 97 different ones. Um, but I think when it comes to your career and what you're kind of envisioning for yourself long-term, I think that path in terms of of the end destination of the process before you actually even get to the actual entity of what you want to be doing, which is going to be a doctor. Like the process to becoming a doctor isn't like you graduate from college and then I go off and hit a sales role. I become a strength and conditioning coach. Like it's years and years and years and years of work before you even get the opportunity to
Yeah.
then do what you actually want to be doing, which is, obviously becoming a doctor. So I think it takes a really strong-willed person. I think it takes a person of character, of fortitude, of all these different things to look at that process, how daunting it can really be. Like, let's just say it for what it is. It can be a daunting process to look at and say, this is what it's going to take. Do I have the fortitude? Do I have the confidence? Do I have the courage, whatever, to actually go through with this stuff, to even give myself the chance at becoming that certain thing? So when you look at that long road, because it is long, it is what it is. And obviously there's going to be ups and downs along that road. But when it comes to finding sustained effort or confidence in yourself or perseverance, whatever, like, how do you go about navigating that road of the ups and downs? Because it is a long one. And, you know, just for you personally, how do you kind of approach that process? Because I think for the vast majority of us, like, I don't know if a lot of people could do that, but you're doing it, you're in the thick of it, you're rocking it out, you're succeeding. How is it going? How do you do that and look at something that big and choose to attack it?
Yeah. It's daunting. I want to say that I don't want to sugarcoat things.
Yeah,
It is
I mean,
daunting. Yeah.
I love saying, you gotta, yeah, say it for what it is. Yeah.
It's daunting, and at days it's overwhelming, and I sit there and think like, okay, whether it's like realizing how much longer I have to go or how much debt I'll be in, and these things, and they're minute, and it's you live with them. But I think the important thing that gets me through most, like every day, is kind of when I wake up. I always have this one thing when I wake up and say, I just tell myself today's gonna be a great day. It's what, like, I pop up, today's
Do
gonna be
you
a great day.
vocalize that? Like, do you
Yeah.
literally say it
Yeah.
out loud?
So I used to be really good about vocalizing it. I kind of, when things got stressful, was not as good about doing it, but I'm trying to get back to it. Just like as I pop up, today is gonna be a great day, and whatever comes from that, we'll take it and we'll see.
Yeah.
And so now I'm trying to get back to that and those little things, because I realize that at the end of the day, or kind of when I culminate that day in itself, is I could have another 10 years of this, but as long as I had a great day today, I can keep it pushing, you know? And so I think that's when you're going on a path, whatever path, whether it's a 10-day grind, whether it's a quarantine when we're sitting in the house and trying to find something that keeps us going, is just understand that if you tell, like, half of what you see and believe is what you tell yourself.
100%.
It's
I would,
what you
I would
tell
argue, I would argue even more than half. Like, that's
yeah,
damn
like,
near all of it.
no, it's all
up.
I like I would say like 98% is what you
Yeah.
actually tell yourself. And so for me, I struggle with a lot of kind of, whether it is self-doubt at times and having to battle through things like that. But I realize when I do get in that mindset of, okay, today's gonna be great, at least I know that going forward, that at least I started good, you know, and I can go from there. Because I think that just constant kind of forward perception
Yeah.
is gonna be beneficial, even if that day's not the best. It's at least I know it's good. There could always be worse.
I get it. I get it. And to me, like, I would just dumb it down as controlling the controllables, right? Like, when you get up in the morning, you know, I like to get up a little bit probably earlier than most, but the reason being isn't to be cool or be like, no, it's like, I want to control my hour and a half in the morning, because that's the only time I'm really going to have full control over what I want to be doing the rest of the day, because work's going to pull you left or right, up and down. You get home, so is, you know, fiance, dog, like, there's just so many things. Like, but in the morning time, you can control, exactly like you said, you vocalize, it's going to be a great day. Like, sometimes I smack myself or hit my chest, just kind of give me a jolt, like, here we go, let's ride, like, it's time to go, come on, Jay, like, let's get it, man.
Come on.
Like, literally hitting myself. Jane probably looks at me sometimes like, what the hell is this cat doing?
I've seen it done before.
But yeah, like, but for real, like, you can control those moments, and maybe it is only 6% of your day, but that 6%, if it can be positive and uplifting and beneficial every single day, that 6% adds up over 1, 2, 5, 10, 15 years. And before you know it, you know, again, that stuff adds up really quick in a really good direction for yourself. So, I feel you. I totally get it.
Yeah. And I also think it's important to realize that time goes by fast, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's whether it's beneficial long term, or if, you know, it's every few days. I think when you live in a sense of getting beat down every day, time goes even faster, you know? And I think it's important to realize that whether it is just today, let's make today a good day, because at the end, you can get in a rut, and that rut can last a long time. Like, that's what I've realized is, like, and you can look at, I look from when we talked to now, and it feels like it was yesterday. Like I was sitting studying, and you're like, hey, let's talk, like, you free chop it up. And I was studying at the school, and I just got done with like a clinical like exam. So I had to, like, go through and, like, on, like, mock patients. And it's just crazy, because that was forever ago.
Yeah.
It was forever ago. So
yeah. Would you say, I don't know if you ever thought about, what does your relationship with time look like? Like, do you like, so I'll just kind of give you context of how I think about it. Is my relationship with time is this, and I think about it in money sense. Because to me, when I am going to spend money on anything, I don't care if it's a candy bar at the grocery store. I don't care if it's a new car. Like, I don't care the amount of money or whatever the case may be in terms of how I'm going to spend it. But what I say, I'm not spending money, I'm spending time, because the vast majority of my time is the earning the money that allows me the opportunity to go do these different things. So for me, I don't spend money. I spend my time. So however I'm going to spend my money is how I want to be spending my time. So that kind of puts things into perspective for me, where yes, time can go fast, like you're saying, time, but time is so precious because you are only spending your time on some more time, like stuff that you do by earning the. So like for me, that's kind of my relationship where I'm at right now with time in my own eyes and my own mind. But for you, like, how do you kind of approach that? Because, again, this is kind of a new school train of thought for me, but I've been asking people this lately. So in terms of time, how do you kind of approach your relationship with it?
Um, I think it's so. I look at it very similar. I think it's important to understand that, like, I think there's a quote like, "Time is the greatest currency,"
Mm,
and because it's what you put your time into is what you really want to invest into.
yeah, facts.
Um,
Yep.
and I think for me, it's I think medical school has maybe changed that a little bit for me, because a lot of my time is spent right now just studying. Whether I'm waking up, I'm studying a little bit, working out, and then when I was in school, going to class for a few hours, and then get out of class, eat real quick, and then go right to the library and be library till 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, and
Yeah.
then repeat. And
Yeah.
so I think for that, it was the understanding that my investment was into school and to the long-term gain.
You were earning the mental dollars, my
Yeah,
brother. That's
exactly,
exactly
exactly,
right. Yeah, I'm
exactly.
with you.
And so I think that was that realization. But now, as I'm moving to after this board exam and into a clinical standpoint, I think
Mhm.
it's also going to be understanding of, like, how do I invest my time in my own mental well-being, because
Mm.
this journey can go a long time, and it's not can go, it will go. Like,
Yeah.
it's just it's only
Yeah.
beginning. I'm not even in it.
Facts. Yeah. Yeah.
And so, but understanding of where I want to get to, but also where mentally I want to be when I get there, because
Good.
I can get somewhere and get all my dreams can be come
I
true, and
feel you.
mentally I
Yeah.
won't be where I need to be
Yeah.
successful in that standpoint.
That's a really good point. I love that. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can get there, but you may look a little different depending on how you approach
Yeah,
that, how what
as
you
you see
look
right
like when you
now.
get there, how you sound. Yeah, you got a little scruff going on. Yeah,
Those
you
rough, this
told you
study
you
is
look like you got some wisdom inside of them things, boy. So you might want to rock that thing. I'm
hey,
with it.
might need to. Who
I'm with
knows?
it. I pray for a few hairs on my cheek. You got the whole thing, man. You got it all going on. I
This
look
is
like
like
I'm.
this is like 3 months of struggling.
I know. I look like I'm 3 years old right now. Holy hell! You see me wearing the hat too, because my hair is all. I mean, holy. Jane tried to cut it the other day, and I was like,
You're catching
okay.
me forward to.
Yep, we're gonna keep the hat on for the next couple weeks here. That's what we're gonna do. Okay, question 2. Good. We spent about 90 hours on the first question. Good for us. There we go.
Hey,
Okay.
investment.
Um, so question 2, Trey. Here's what I got for you, dog. What has been the best piece of advice that you have ever received, learned, gotten from somebody else, read? What does that kind of look like for you? Best piece of advice you've ever received?
I think and I don't want to focus on the too recent, but I think this time's been a great time for me. I think it might have recently just come from my brother.
Okay.
Um, and we were running one morning, kind of talking through things, and I brought it up a little bit earlier. But for me, I struggle with kind of listening to what outside people say too much. Not that but letting people's opinions resonate with me for too long.
Okay.
Who aren't really, in my inner circle. And so we were talking one morning, and his best advice I think he gave me was that you need to have a list, whether it's mentally in your pocket, of whose opinion is really impacts what you do.
Hmm.
I just sit and to kind of think about that and really kind of understand what he was getting at. But I realized that there's so many voices, and now with so much social media and all these things that are coming from the exterior,
Yeah.
that you need to have an understanding of what's your hierarchy of influence,
Got it.
because we're all influenced all the time. And so
100%.
for me as well, where I'm kind of in this like rat race right now, is trying to understand where's like whose opinion is really like what people I really kind of that those are those opinions that if they say like I'm taking to heart 100%, and the other ones I can take to heart, but also to live and learn that we might have differing opinions. And so that's been big for me. I think that's been big recently.
I got you. That's really powerful. And I think that's why I talked about it a few weeks ago is your tribe is powerful, the people you surround yourself with. So if you're, talking to people on the regular about, whatever, they better be some people of substance that you believe and trust. Because if not, it's just human nature, right? You want to, you want to make people happy. You want to, be liked, one of those different things. And if you surround yourself with people who aren't out for your best interests, or you don't think of the best, then like that's on you. Then get them out. They got to go. Because at the end of the day, that is what it is. And who you surround yourself with is going to be that influence that is either going to keep you moving the right direction or potentially the wrong direction. So,
you're steering the wrong way, and you don't even realize it sometimes.
Exactly right. Because you think you believe them, you think you trust them, and we've all been there, right? You've been pushed in the wrong direction, either your own doing or they're, for sure. I'm totally with you. Now, all right, question 3. I like that one a lot. Now, question 3, talking about your why, right? I'm really big on this because I think when you think about your macro vision for life or just the bigger picture, I think you have to be steered, obviously, by your circle of influence, these different things that we're talking about. But I think when you have a well-established why behind what you do, when stuff's presented to you, good or bad, having a vision of what that why looks like is going to keep you moving regardless of what's put in front of you, right? So I think if you have a strong enough why, that kind of old adage, a strong enough why, you can withstand pretty much anything that's put in your way. So when it comes to what your why is, what's kind of the biggest why in your life, and kind of why you do what you do, and why is that the case?
For me, I would say family. Most importantly, family, and I think then proceeds to my siblings, even if you get even more specific. I think I take being the oldest very seriously, that role, and whether it is good, bad, I think that's my big thing. And whether it's setting a precedent, not like they need to follow it, or not like they need to be who I am in any way, but I think understanding that what I do does impact people, good, bad, whether like and being in the family. And so I think that's my why and my drive is kind of setting that standard. Not like anybody needs to follow it, but just setting that standard of how I want to go about what I do.
Have you always felt that sense of responsibility? Because I feel you. I'm the oldest. Whatever. I've always, for whatever reason, kind of felt that. Has that just kind of always been? Okay.
That's all. It's all. And I think that's foundational. That's been whether from like Drew all the way to Morgan, like Gil and Morgan. It's been a kind of constant throughout my life.
Do you feel like that responsibility, that same feeling, is most evident with them? Because like for me, I feel like that's now transcending my friends. So I'm getting older, right? I think influence has grown a little bit just due to getting older or different stages of life, whatever. And, for me, it's not even my siblings or my family anymore. It's more so just in general. Like it might be the cat walking down the street. And I'm not saying like I'm trying to be whatever for anybody, but like, no, it's like maybe the interaction I'm having with the dude on the street when I say hello could make his day or turn his day around or whatever. Like, with somebody at work, or like now I feel that type of responsibility for the masses, and not a pride or ego way, but just like, I want to bring benefit in any way possible. So like, does that kind of, cross cultures a little bit? Yeah. Is there a crossover?
I think for sure. And I think maybe my interaction with people were a lot more before kind of medical school, just because I had a lot of my time spent, but I still believe in that whole ripple effect, or that idea that kind of, you don't know what you will do to one person will impact the many people they interact with. And I always, like, it was always that idea that whether it's just saying hi to somebody, whether it's holding open the door for somebody, because we are creatures of habit, and we are creatures of, and we react to when something happens. And so it's, I think someone would say, my brother Gil would say the other day, is like, you only know what somebody's saying to you, but you don't know what the last person, but also you don't know how the last person impacted them. And like, whether you're going through the grocery store line and somebody is, the cashier's upset, and you're like, wow, that person's just a grumpy person, but you don't realize that maybe the person before them just gave them attitude and just was a total mess. And then you're now, and see, it's trickling now. And then, so I'm like, I'm in like a weird mood. And so it's understanding that like, you can change the emotions and the response of people going forward.
I love that. I love that. That's a really powerful one too. Yeah, no doubt. Like you can change the ripple. Like
Yeah.
the ripple's kind of making its way towards you, but if you a bigger rock in the pond, you can push that thing back in the other direction, straight up.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. And I think if you can carry that perspective, that could be a game changer for a lot of people. Because a lot of time when people act a certain way towards you, it's not because of you. It isn't. It's just maybe they're feeling some type of way that day, or they're being treated like such. Like, no, like, okay, we'll be the bigger person and push that ripple in the opposite direction. That might be the theme of the day. Push that
Yeah.
ripple in the other direction. I love that. All right, bet. Now, question 4, Trey. I think this is a powerful one. I think again, this kind of goes back to our macro version. We talked about the why a little bit. But if you could pick one word, one expression, an adjective, a noun, or something that when people think of Trey Barksdale, this is the thing that they think about. So leader, challenge, perspective. What one word, one expression, one entity, when your name comes to mind for the masses, what do you want people to kind of think about you with that one word?
I would say I think there's a lot of things you do. I think it would be relentless.
Mm,
And in this and in that sense, relentless in all different avenues. So I think it's not just like a go-getter, but also kind of whether it's relationships, whether it's what I'm doing. Because I think I'm trying to kind of live my life so at the end of the day it's you know that real like or so make someone else want to go get it, you know, whether it's us being around each other and you're going, I'm like, okay, I need to have that same energy.
yeah,
So maybe it's just be like that idea of relentless, and whether it's relentless in my relationships with my family, my friends, and the people I love, whether it's relentless in getting to my goal of being a doctor, whether it's relentless in how I like just live my life and how I approach the day. I think that's maybe.
that's it right there. Yeah, and I can say from firsthand experience, that's definitely the case because we definitely feed off each other.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, I mean, within 3 minutes of being around each other, yeah, it's already popping off with, some different stuff. I love that. Now, when it comes to being relentless, okay, let's go here for a second. Relentless.
I think you gave me
Um,
that book too, though.
what's
Sorry,
that?
I think you have you read that book. It's funny, Relentless.
Exactly
Yeah.
right. Yeah, because I just think a frame of mind of relentlessness literally changes the chemicals in your brain to attack life in a different sense, in a different way, in a different perspective. Because I'm reading this book right now, Think and Grow Rich. Like, just like we talk, like what you tell yourself every single day, what you do every single day, that changes the chemical makeup of your mind and your life. And if you can think things and articulate them well, for whatever reason, it just seems like the physical being of whatever you are articulating or putting inside your head will come to fruition in some shape, way, whatever would have. So like if you can really fight for the perspective of, for your case, relentlessness, I think that finds its way into your life in some sort of physical domain, spiritual domain, emotional, but like that's the stuff you have to put inside your head. So I think this is a really important question for people to think about. Like, I want people to think about me as like challenge. Okay, so how can I be that and tell myself that and do that every single day? Because if I can do that, then I am literally changing the chemical makeup of my mind. So I will then become that even more so, which creates more ripples, whatever. So like, would you say like relentlessness is like a frame of mind for you? Is it just like how you want to live your life? Like, how would you go even further in terms of making that happen? Like, it's easy to say like, yeah, I want to be relentless. Like, how is it the words you say? Is it the actions you have? Like, what would that look like for you?
I think it's whether it's from waking up and that whole idea of like, okay, let's attack this day,
Mm-hmm.
to that, and that's like a very definitive action.
Mm-hmm.
To that, I think it's just it's the consistency of what you do.
Got it.
And I think it's I never want to get my life too boxed up in a mindset like I have to live
Yeah.
exactly how
Yeah.
other
No
people live.
doubt. Yeah.
And so I think for me, I think everybody's definition of who they are and what they do is different, or how they get there, how they get to their end destination. But I think it's that idea of consistency in what you do and how
Got
you
it.
go about it,
Got it.
and stay true to kind of what your consistency is.
Got it.
And yes, there can be tweaks, and yes, there can be changes. But as long as you like, whether my definition of relentless is waking up at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
every starting and saying like today's gonna be a great day, and
Yeah.
getting a workout in, and then sitting down and studying for 14 hours. If
Yeah.
that's my definition of
I
relentless,
get
amazing.
it.
Yeah. But,
God, that makes so much sense.
like someone else's definition could be, getting up at 8, being happy as can be, and enjoying their time, and then getting started on their grind and going at it. And if they're efficient in what you do, and your grind is it's different. And so I don't want to get too scripted and like, okay, this is the definition. Yeah.
I love that. That's so profound, because you have to identify what that looks like in your own life before then you can then go about how you want to approach it. Yeah, I totally get. I mean, I'm the most guilty of that. Like sometimes it's like I see people waking up late or, you know, not working out, and it's like something eats at me. Like what are they doing? Like what the heck? Like no, that's just pride and ego, and like, why is my way the best way? Why how I go? It doesn't have to be. That's what makes us all unique and individual, which is really cool, because then I learned from them. Like, so like, but I totally feel you, because I could definitely improve upon that, where it's whatever you're now, if you haven't defined that for yourself and you're doing that stuff, then maybe that's even more when it eats at me. But like, if you have done so and you have really thought about it and established what relentless or challenge or like, okay, bet, like it can look at that. That's perfectly fine.
I think it's important. And I don't want to say just complacency is like, but I think it's important if you have addressed what that looks like for you, as long as you've addressed it, I think it looks because I think we are both relentless people, but our schedules look
different, straight up.
A lot different. And that doesn't mean any of us, like, that doesn't mean I'm more or you're more. It's just how it's how we're attacking that day and what we've seen to be most efficient in getting done what we want to get done, and can maintain that consistency of who we see us or who we are.
Yep. Facts done. Conversation over. Facts. I love it, dude. Yep. No doubt. All right, let's wrap this thing up, dude. Let's wrap it up here. Last question. And I want to kind of give some tangible takeaway for people as they kind of listen to this thing and maybe go away from it. So during this pandemic, obviously, again, we have more time in our hands. We're doing different stuff. What's one thing during this, you know, I know your situation a little bit different because you probably would have been doing what you're doing anyway. But what's one thing that has been most beneficial to you during this time that you now have? And is there any advice that you would kind of offer people that they could be doing right now to keep themselves moving in the right direction? And again, I know we just kind of talked about not saying my way is the highway, but just what has worked for you so far, and maybe some advice that you would offer others to kind of keep them moving in the right direction too.
So I think mine is my scenario is a little bit different, because it would have been like this either way. Okay. But I think for me personally, the biggest thing for me is the blessing of, I was going to come home either way to study.
Okay.
But being home with my entire family, I think is it's one of those blessings that I didn't really like, a blessing in disguise. Okay. In some ways, because I think this is a very trying time for me, and it's just kind of monotonous every day, hitting the wall, grinding. And just knowing, being around people I love and care about has been a blessing. And kind of twisting that to everybody is just, whether it is one person, whether it is just checking in on people you love, I think this kind of makes you realize that there's so many ways that you can check in on somebody or be around people or have that positive energy. And so really maintaining that through this time, I think has been, and then maybe from a more so, which ideally I would love to be doing right now, is, and somebody said, somebody had posted something on Facebook or something about it, but is also understanding of how to take a second and realize that you can stop, and not stop doing what you're doing or grinding, but realizing to take some of life in, because I think we are in this motion, in this cog, and it's not a bad thing. I don't say that. I don't say it's guilty. Bad. I'm probably the most guilty of it. Yeah. But we're in a cog of just going, and it's kind of, you realize that like that quickly everything can stop. Like you say, jobs can stop and all these things. But what is truly there every day? And so trying to find that happiness and realization, because once this is over, life is back to it starts up again. And so I would say find time to be like, to find who you are and where your happiness is and things, because I think this is a very unique time that we can find happiness and find what really have enjoyment in, because this is like the one time that you know we're working and we're grinding, but you also have a little bit more time to be around people, or kind of sit with yourself and read more, or find a hobby, whether it's buying a bike and going riding or stuff like that.
Yeah, I see y'all over there. So I see y'all riding. I'm with it. And I know y'all crazies are probably going for like 100 miles a day or what the hell y'all do. Yeah, I already know. Yeah, you ain't got. Yeah, I know it.
Hey, it's probably getting up. We feel like that, you know. We're built like that.
Y'all built like that?
Yeah.
All right.
Hey.
All right. All right. All right.
You know, I learned it from you.
You know what? I'm gonna buy myself a bike and ride it up there and come back.
Hey, I'm right now. Let's go. Let's get it going.
Let's rub it up. I'm with it. Awesome. Well, dude, that's the 5 questions that I got, and I know we could rock this thing out for hours on end. But thanks for coming on. Love you lots. You know, I kind of told people last Friday this is the first time I did one of these conversations on Zoom or FaceTime or whatever. And I think the face-to-face interaction with these conversations elevates the quality and the value that comes out of it. I mean, you can just feel it through the facial expressions and, you know, our hand motions and all this. It's so cool. So I guess to everybody else out there listening, take advantage of this time. FaceTime someone, Zoom them up, group of people, whatever, because it can make a really big difference. I know it's going to jolt me the rest of the day. Now I feel more, you know, geeked up. I want to go get some stuff done. And I think, again, kind of your circle, if you can surround yourself with those people, it's going to push you in the right direction. So love you, dude. Thank you.
Love you, brother.
Go get back to the studying. Enough bothering you. And
hey, no, it was good. I'm revved up. I'm good to go.
I love it. Awesome, dude. All right. Well, to everybody else out there, happy Monday. Start of a new week, start of a new opportunity. And let's find time to get ourselves a little bit better in some capacity. Take the time to identify what that looks like for yourself first and foremost, so you can be a little bit more efficient in that process. But again, happy Monday. God bless you guys. And let's set this week off right. All right. God bless. Coach Cool.
Hey.